5:17 a.m. Northern Persian Gulf. The sea is calm, with a light wind moving across the surface. In the middle of the formation moves the massive aircraft carrier USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, surrounded by a protective ring of destroyers and support ships. Radar arrays rotate slowly above the gray hulls while hundreds of sailors move through their morning routines. Deep beneath the calm surface, however, the ocean is not as quiet as it appears. Inside the sonar control room of the destroyer USS Mason, a sonar operator notices something unusual on the acoustic display. It is not loud and not dramatic, just a faint signal, an intermittent metallic pulse appearing across the sonar spectrum. The operator leans closer to the console and marks the contact. Bearing 082. Range uncertain. The sound fades for a moment, then returns again, slightly stronger than before. 5:21 a.m. Inside the destroyer's Combat Information Center, the tactical officer reviews the sonar feed as the signal repeats. The pattern is subtle but recognizable to trained ears. The sonar operator begins analyzing the frequency. 5 propeller blades. Slow rotation. Diesel-electric propulsion. It is not the sound of a merchant ship or fishing vessel. The contact is submerged and extremely quiet. The operator adjusts the filters and listens carefully. A second harmonic vibration appears in the signal. That detail confirms the suspicion forming inside the room. The acoustic database begins running automated comparisons. Seconds later a possible match appears on the screen, an Iranian Ghadir-class submarine. Small, shallow water optimized, and specifically designed for operations in the Persian Gulf. The officer calmly reports the contact to the carrier strike group. There is no alarm and no panic, only procedure. 5:24 a.m. Inside the aircraft carrier's Combat Direction Center, the tactical network updates across large digital displays. A new symbol appears on the map marking the uncertain submarine contact. Range estimate 9 nautical miles. Speed approximately 4 knots. The submarine is moving slowly toward the carrier formation. Around the carrier, the destroyers maintain their defensive screen while sonar teams increase monitoring intensity. The contact remains faint but consistent. The submarine is attempting to remain hidden within the shallow, noisy waters of the Gulf. 5:28 a.m. Sonar tracking improves as the destroyer refines the acoustic picture. The propeller rhythm becomes clearer. The submarine is approaching from a shallow water corridor, likely using seabed reflections and thermal layers to mask its noise. Range now 7 nautical miles and closing. The tactical officer authorizes airborne anti-submarine surveillance. On the carrier's flight deck, rotor blades begin turning as an anti-submarine warfare helicopter prepares for launch. 5:31 a.m. The helicopter lifts from the carrier deck and climbs into the early morning sky before accelerating toward the suspected submarine location. Inside the cockpit, the pilot maintains low altitude while the sensor operator prepares sonar buoys. The first buoy drops into the water with a small splash. Moments later acoustic data begins transmitting back to the carrier strike group. The submarine is still there. Still moving. Still closing the distance. 5:34 a.m. Additional sonar buoys deploy across the water, forming a wide listening grid. Each buoy listens to the ocean and transmits acoustic data back to the fleet. The underwater picture becomes clearer with every new sensor. The submarine continues moving carefully with small course adjustments designed to avoid detection. Range now 5 nautical miles. 5:38 a.m. Inside USS Mason, the sonar operator notices a change in the propeller rhythm. The submarine increases speed to 6 knots. It is still approaching the carrier strike group. The tactical officer calculates the projected track of the submarine. Closest point of approach, 2 nautical miles from the carrier. That distance is unacceptable for a hostile submarine. The situation continues escalating, but the tone inside the command centers remains calm and procedural. 5:42 a.m. The sonar buoy grid expands further as more sensors enter the water. Data from the helicopter combines with the destroyer's hull-mounted sonar to form a precise underwater map. The submarine's movements appear deliberate and cautious, but the listening network around it is tightening. Every turn, every speed change, every vibration of its propeller is now being recorded. 5:46 a.m. Suddenly the sonar operator hears a sharp metallic release through the headphones. The sound is brief but unmistakable. The operator calmly reports, possible torpedo launch. Seconds later another acoustic signature appears on the display, fast, cavitating, and moving rapidly through the water. A weapon has entered the sea. Additional sonar returns confirm it. The torpedo is traveling at high speed toward the carrier formation. 5:47 a.m. Inside the carrier's command center, the torpedo track appears on the tactical display. Speed approximately 40 knots. The carrier begins a slow evasive maneuver while the surrounding destroyers adjust formation. Massive rudders beneath the carrier shift the vessel slightly off course. Every movement is calculated to reduce the torpedo's probability of impact. 5:48 a.m. Countermeasures deploy immediately. Acoustic decoys drop into the water behind the formation. These devices produce powerful sound signatures designed to imitate the noise of a large carrier. The torpedo's guidance system must now choose between multiple targets. Real ship or artificial signal. 5:49 a.m. From above, the anti-submarine helicopter tracks both the torpedo and the submarine's estimated position. The pilot banks sharply as the sensor operator prepares an anti-submarine torpedo. The weapon drops from the helicopter and enters the water. Its onboard sonar activates instantly, searching for the submarine's acoustic signature. 5:50 a.m. The hostile torpedo continues moving toward the carrier formation, now 2 nautical miles away. But the acoustic decoys begin pulling the weapon away from the real target. The torpedo shifts course slightly, locking onto the louder artificial signal drifting behind the formation. 5:51 a.m. Meanwhile the helicopter's torpedo begins hunting underwater. It listens for the submarine's propeller rhythm and adjusts its course accordingly. The submarine attempts to maneuver away, increasing speed and turning sharply beneath the surface. 5:53 a.m. The acoustic grid formed by the sonar buoys and destroyer sensors prevents the submarine from escaping detection. The anti-submarine torpedo closes the distance quickly. 500 meters. 400. 300. The submarine attempts another evasive turn, but the weapon continues tracking. 5:54 a.m. A sudden flash erupts beneath the water followed by a deep muffled explosion. The shockwave spreads outward through the sea. Inside the sonar rooms across the fleet, operators hear the metallic collapse of the submarine hull followed by rising air bubbles and debris. The hostile contact disappears from the displays. 5:56 a.m. The attacking torpedo, now separated from its original target, continues chasing the decoy signal until its guidance system reaches its final stage. Moments later it detonates harmlessly far behind the carrier formation. The explosion echoes faintly through the water before fading into silence. 6:03 a.m. The carrier strike group stabilizes its formation while helicopters continue scanning the water and sonar buoys remain active. No additional contacts appear on the acoustic displays. The sea slowly returns to calm. Inside the sonar room, operators remain focused, listening carefully to every sound that travels through the ocean. Underwater warfare is rarely dramatic. It is patient, technical, and quiet. The survival of a carrier strike group depends not on heroics but on training, discipline, and precise procedure carried out by hundreds of professionals. Far below the surface, debris slowly settles toward the seafloor as the last echoes fade. The ocean closes again over the contact, and the Persian Gulf becomes silent once more. If you want more realistic military breakdowns like this, consider subscribing.